All right, listen. It's Abby's MotorCityNerds. Hi to all new subscribers. I didn't plan to do anything about this, but then I started talking about it on TikTok and on other social media and realized I just want to talk about this. So let's talk about it. Return of the King came out 20 years ago today. That's so crazy! That's nuts. And if you've been on the channel since the beginning and were here when Mom talked about this, you'll know, and I'll insert the clip if I can find it. Mom took me opening weekend to see Return of the King. She had not gone to an opening weekend of a movie since Ninja Turtles 1, and she refused to take us.
You remember the first one when it first debuted? We go in this theater and we're sitting there, and of course it's jammed. And the next thing I know, you're watching the screen, and I can still see it. The sewer grid moves, right? It moves, and then you can just feel the palpitation in the theater, right? Because you got a million kids.
Yeah.
You know, you got a million kids in here. And then it moves a little more. Then all of a sudden, that little Band-Aid comes up, and they went nuts. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Pandemonium. They're standing on chairs. They're screaming. They're running down the aisles. I was like, oh, my God. So I said, I ain't never going to know opening night.
So
nothing.
her taking me to see Return of the King opening weekend was a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big deal for me to go. I had to strategize to go see Return of the King. This isn't a review because there's nothing to review. This is just me appreciating Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and telling you my experience with it. Because these movies changed my life. Lord of the Rings really changed my life. I'll tell you the exact image that did it. It was in the first one. I remember my aunt took us, I was like 7 or 8, and we went into Fellowship, and it was when the ring wraith was above the hobbits in the tree. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is my thing. This is it right here. Whatever's going on right here, horses and knights and fighting, and this is my thing, and I'm all here for it. And I remember like looking down the row at my sister and my aunt and thinking, isn't your life being changed right now too? Okay, maybe not. And then Two Towers. And so I begged my mom to go see Return of the King, and she agreed. So I got to see this opening night, and it meant the world to me. I know that Lord of the Rings is a major part of why I love movies. They're not the main one, but that's a huge milestone in my life of like, I can't believe what I'm seeing on this screen right now, and it just took me away, and it was the best of times. And do you want to know what? These still hold up and still look better than some stuff made today. My mom was having anxiety once she realized Shayla was a spider, so she snuck out to go smoke a cig, and I would have been like 10 years old, and she left the theater, and she claims it was like 5 minutes. No, it was like 20 minutes, and I remember at one point, this is a full packed theater, at one point I was like, should I go get my mom? Like, I wasn't scared, but I was like, I'm a little kid, so there's an empty seat next to me, and next to that is a grown man. And it was at the scene when Sam starts beating the shit out of Gollum, which is not appreciated enough. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're thinking like, oh, should I go get my mom? And it was right at that scene, and Sam's beating up Gollum, and I look over, and there's an empty seat, and then these two guys, and they were so enthralled with what was going on. They were, like, going like this, and they were so geeked, and I realized, like, I'm totally safe in this theater, because nobody, including myself, gives a shit about anything or anyone in here except what's going on this screen. But Sam beating the shit out of Gollum, Sam is the first one to want to throw hands every time. He is the best. He is a brute. If he was an average-sized person, he would be murking people. Sam beating up Gollum and calling people dirty, stinking rats I live for it. I live for it. It's not talked about enough. People aren't called dirty rats enough. I call people dirty rats, so I always appreciate that. Yeah, but Sam going fisticuffs right away, not appreciated enough. Legolas is another one I've talked about over here. He's got a temper on him. He's the first one at the council. This is Aragorn, son of Arathorn. You owe him your allegiance. And he steps up real quick and then holds the other ones back like, I'll do this myself. Legolas has a temper on him, so does Sam, and it's not talked about enough. But God, can we just appreciate this time period? Like, seriously, can we just appreciate this time period? Oh my God. We were getting, like, the first and second and Azkaban and third Harry Potter movies. Oh my God, man. It was a magical time. And then we get hit with Return of the King, and it was, like, I have been chasing that dopamine adrenaline rush I had at 10 years old in that theater watching the Battle of Pelennor Fields ever since. That feeling in that theater is is the drug I chase after now, and I don't think we will ever get something like that again. And then not only did this factor in my love of movies even more, and my love of everything like that, and storytelling and fantasy, but this was when I first got into the Oscars, because I wanted to see my team annihilate. I wanted to see them bring it home. Oh my God, they swept the Oscars, so then I got really into the Oscars, and you gotta remember, I'm 10, 11 years old, so now this is my thing too, and added into the movie thing that's starting, so it's all a big amalgamation, and it comes from Lord of the Rings, it comes from Return of the King. And I've thought about making videos about this, but other bigger people have done way better jobs of explaining how the Oscars works and stuff. You gotta remember that Peter Jackson was one of the first people that was like, you, Harvey Weinstein, you're a piece of shit. You and your brother are stacks of garbage, and I don't want to work with you. But Harvey Weinstein and them at Miramax still had the rights and everything, and that's why they have producing credit at the end of the movies. But New Line Cinema was the ones who picked them up, because Harvey Weinstein tried to make that impossible for Peter Jackson to do. He tried blackballing all these people. Why do you think half this cast was like 19-year-olds or people that weren't in anything before? It was because Harvey Weinstein's name and him being brought up against this scared people off, that they were like, I don't want my career ruined. Peter Jackson didn't give a shit. Peter Jackson was like, let's go. I hate you. I hate your brother. And then it still got made, and it still happened, even though they were still messing with them. And then for Return of the King to sweep the Oscars, that is like punching Harvey Weinstein in the dick. The saying went, more people thank Harvey Weinstein at the Oscars than God. That was a saying. That was a thing. And that's a whole other topic to get into, and that's what I mean if I made a separate video, because, like I said, I'm getting into the Oscars, I'm watching Lord of the Rings sweep it, I don't know any of this stuff. Harvey Weinstein didn't rig the Oscars, but he found a way to work the system. We'll just put it like that. Peter Jackson is like, fuck you, Harvey Weinstein, you ain't shit, you rapist. Harvey Weinstein is doing everything he can to destroy Lord of the Rings from being made or happening. Then we get to the final one. The Oscars is Harvey Weinstein's thing. He's associated with all these people winning these awards in the movies he produces. Not only did Peter Jackson take jabs at you in the movie with the white orc and with the drawings at the end and other things, but they sweep the Oscars. They annihilate all the competition, sock it to you. Like, fuck you. That is so epic to do. I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. That's like, yeah, Harvey Weinstein to the average person at the time would have went like, yeah, he's attached to it. But at the time, it's like, nah, we don't need you, you bum. We don't need you, you piece of shit. And like, it was like Peter Jackson giving him the middle finger times a million, and it's great. Imagine losing the World Series at home, having home field advantage, and knowing that, and thinking like this, they ain't shit. And then you lose. Bad. Like, you would look like a jackass. He looked like a jackass. It's great. But all of that aside, which is epic on its own right and needs to be discussed, and I feel like there should be a documentary about it. I really feel like there should be a documentary about all the stuff Peter Jackson was doing behind the scenes, and how it affected the Oscars, and how it affected Harvey Weinstein, and all these things. I think they should really document that. But I didn't know any of that at the time. I just knew I'm really getting into the movies thing. I'm really all about movies right now. And then I got really into the Oscars. And so then I wanted to watch Oscar winners. And this just got me on a path that I never got away from. I freaking love Lord of the Rings. I love it so much. It's the best. It's so good. It's the best. It's the best. It is the best messages. It's the best. Everybody come together. Oh my God. Oh my God. I only want Gandalf quotes said at my funeral when I die. It was just a time. It was a time to be alive, to see movies, and I will appreciate that for the rest of my life. And like I said, that feeling this movie gave me, I understood, like, this is what a movie can do. This is how far a movie can take you away from this world, and it's great. And like I said, I don't know if we'll ever get it again, but I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds. I'm on OF, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the things down below. I just wanted to rant. Go check that out. Social media is down there. We're on our way to 2K, but yeah. Tell me if you were alive and seeing Return of the King in theaters in 2003, because it was a time. It was a time to be alive.